Hello, my name is Christopher Connors. I'm the interim instructional designer at Emerson College within the Instructional Technology Group. And thank you very much for joining me as I go over an assessment at Emerson program that I've been developing for my EDU 6324 course, Competencies, Assessment, and Learning Analytics at Northeastern University. And I want to start off the presentation with a quote from the AAHE that says that assessment of student learning begins with educational values. Assessment is not an end in itself, but a vehicle for educational improvement. Its effective practice, then, begins with and enacts a vision of the kinds of learning we most value for students and strive to help them achieve. Emerson, in the last few years, has been doing just that with the Faculty Assembly Committee, the Center for Innovation in Teaching and Learning, and the 5 C's that have been identified as the highest level learning outcomes at the college. So those 5 C's for Emerson, which is a smaller school in the liberal arts that promotes innovation in the visual and media arts and communication studies, are to communicate, to collaborate, to critically think, to civically engage, and to create. So here's a quote from Lucy Lepofsky from an article in Forbes in May of 2015 that hits on why online programs are so popular for smaller nonprofit institutions like Emerson. So Emerson is a tuition-dependent school, and as such, online programs are very attractive in that they can be very lucrative for little overhead in terms of staffing and space constraints, especially for urban schools. So to that end, Emerson has created 2 new online programs, low residency MFA in film and TV writing. So low residency is 1 week on campus and the rest off campus, and a completely online MFA in popular fiction, and that is to reach out to help students ordinarily unable to attend campus courses. And in the same vein, there's a goal to reach students where they are as part of the summer undergraduate courses going online. So all of these online programs are hopeful net revenue drivers in Emerson's tuition-based model. But over the course of the summer, there have been, when talking with faculty, some issues that have come up among students taking online classes. So students have missed assignments completely, not understanding due dates. They have infrequently logged in. One student decided that they were going to log in the day before the last day of class, expecting they could do all of their work in one day. There were missed notifications due to personal settings not being set up, as well as time zone issues in terms of communication and again with assignments. And in one drastic case, there was a massive case of plagiarism with a student. So these all tripped up students in online courses, and it became apparent that students needed some additional support when it came to online strategies for success. So enter the Learning Online at Emerson, or the LOE course. The course will be created via Emerson's LMS, which is fantastic, and then has lots of available assessment tools, along with a robust analytics dashboard to see student engagement and to track which students may be struggling. Coupled with the help desk analytics and faculty conversations, the course looks to measure and then improve the gaps in student preparedness. And the program itself will have 3 primary tools that ITG has complete administrative access to. So those are our learning management system, which is Canvas, Zendesk, which is our ticket tracking system that we share with our IT help desk, and Google Docs, which allow for faculty surveys and collaboration with ITG. And I decided to help break down Learning Online at Emerson program to use the Kirkpatrick model of assessment. And I found this system to be particularly helpful due to its usage within corporate training, and thus it lends itself to the vocabulary of non-academics, which there are some at Emerson, and especially faculty who are kind of trade faculty that have been doing a lot of work in the industry, while simultaneously being relatable to faculty within the classroom, online and off. And so the assessment model for the Kirkpatrick model is based into 4 components: reaction, learning, which is the second model, behavior, and finally results. So I'll start in at the reaction level, which will be used primarily with ungraded surveys within Canvas to start the process off to see where students feel they're at with online learning. Why are they taking an online course? Have they ever taken an online course before? These are all opportunities to gauge trends in student characteristics also, such as writing capability and English proficiency. So faculty will be able to see if they have incoming students that may need extra coaching in those areas. And for the next stage, this will be entirely administered through the LMS. And the learning component is going to be broken down into both indirect assessment components and direct assessment components in the form of graded quizzes and assignments. And so taking a strategy from a study mentioned within Michelle Miller's book, Minds Online, quizzes will be taken on a limited amount of times and will be administered often. And these quizzes will be used to measure student knowledge retention and to show students have mastered the learning outcomes you want them to leave the course with. And so you can see some of those up there now. But there are some dedicated service learning, student learning outcomes that will revolve around demonstrating aptitude in 5 primary areas that ITG and faculty have identified students having skill gaps in. And so those 5 areas are technical foundations, personal settings, assignments and due dates, library resources, and time management. Technical foundations are there to make sure they have the right equipment and know how to use the hardware. Personal settings will verify they have set up their notification and time zone preferences. Assignments and due dates will demonstrate that they can read and understand where these items are found in the learning management system. Library resources will showcase what they have available to them and explain procedures around plagiarism. And finally, the time management skills will allow students to demonstrate they understand the importance of sticking to due dates and have knowledge resources available to them to help with attention and self-discipline strategies. And the goal for this whole program is to have a 100% completion rate among all enrolled students in the online programs. To give a more detailed look at what these SLOs look like and their corresponding modules, I've broken them down a little bit more, and there'll be a PDF associated with this that you can go and kind of take a look at those and read them on your own time. So the next area of the Kirkpatrick model is behavior. So here students will have the opportunity to actually demonstrate some of the desired behaviors in the Learning Online at Emerson course before it is even concluded. So they'll be completing actionable items within the Learning Online at Emerson course, and there'll be check-ins with faculty throughout the semester to keep ITG aware of any developing trends and problematic behaviors that might occur. And then finally, the results of the Learning Online at Emerson course will come from both the summative assessments of student grades as a baseline for mastery of course knowledge and Zendesk tickets that come through over the course of the semester with the tag online. So those are the 2 kind of summative assessment options. And the goal is to have a 50% reduction in online course help requests. So we want to be steering requests to when things are not working properly and away from how do I types of questions. So how do I submit an assignment? How do I adjust my notifications, etc. And the student evaluations that are given by students to their faculty members are not accessible by ITG but we can ask faculty members in our surveys and interviews that we're going to have with them at the end of each semester about any trends where they saw. And so while not a part of the Kirkpatrick model, Jack Phillips, who is also a professional trainer, adds a ROI component onto his training model, which I find helpful in communicating to all the various stakeholders in the program. And the 5 key stakeholders are, of course, the new Emerson Online students, but also we have to think of the face-to-face students that aren't taking online courses, faculty, support staff, and administrators. All of those people also have a stake in Canvas being successful, and also for the online programs to be successful. Now, the big takeaway that I've had from this whole course that I've taken, as well as creating this assessment plan, was that faculty are the key to moving assessment work forward. So this came from a 2014 report by the National Institute for Learning Outcomes Assessment. And it went on to say that provosts rated faculty ownership and involvement as top priorities to advance the assessment agenda. So I've tried to keep faculty involvement in as many steps as possible throughout this assessment, and they will be the ones who are in a position to communicate emerging trends, showcasing how ITG will be using the analytic dashboard and gradebook in Canvas. And while we're helping them, hopefully we'll be giving them ideas of how to create stronger assessment strategies within their own courses. I've also found that, while a little frustrating, it may not always be possible to get access to all the data you might want. So use what you do have access to, and don't be afraid to ask for data from other departments. And then finally, from a personal standpoint, I found the whole project management side of assessment incredibly challenging. And I now understand how assessment can be a career in its own right. So I want to go and thank you very much for taking the time to go through my assessment plan. And here are some references of work mentioned and quoted in my presentation. And I wanted to give a recommendation of the Michelle Miller book, Minds Online. It is a phenomenal survey in both theory and practice of online education, and I can't recommend it enough. So I even convinced my director to purchase a copy for the office. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to view my presentation.